Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about TSLA Tesla stock. I have been meaning to talk about this one, but I was waiting till after earnings to see what kind of reaction we would get. Normally on earnings, for the most part, we tend to dump. If we go back in time here and let's get rid of the MACD, you'll notice earnings for the most part we get more gap downs than gap ups. So here's another gap down. So in the past four earnings, we've gotten three gap downs. One move kind of went nowhere, didn't really gap up or down here. But other than that, gap down, gap down, gap down. So buying puts, I mean, it's a risk, but it's in your favor. Probably not a bad idea to buy puts on Tesla. Anyways, the last time we had Tesla dump like this, every time we've had a gap down, we usually recover. Gap down, recovery before going lower. So what I'm thinking is we're seeing a bounce right now, and what I'm thinking is we gap down, we're going to see a recovery, and then we're going to continue lower. That's been the pattern for this stock, unfortunately, since let's see, wow, it's been this way since 2021 November. Because back then it used to just keep going up. You see that? It just kept going up. It just kept creating higher highs, higher lows. Now it's creating lower highs, lower lows over the long term. Until that pattern changes, we should continue to assume that it's going to continue in that pattern, right? Why would we assume otherwise until it shows us that? So, what I am waiting for is to see if it's going to bounce even higher tomorrow. Fridays tend to be sell off days. Not always, but they tend to be sell off days. So, we have to be careful here because you don't want to buy a green. You see this big green candle here and you get excited, and then it's followed by red. So you just don't want to get too excited because you never know. You never know. Too many people, they get excited, they see a green candle and they're like, oh my God, we're going to bounce huge. And then it's followed by some red candles and it keeps going lower. The dip keeps on dipping, so to speak. We've been here before. If this thing is going to come down, I would watch for under 200 to accumulate for the next cycle to the upside because that's what it likes to do. That's what I'm seeing here. See, it goes up and then it goes down, up, down, and so on and so forth. So under $200, this is definitely a buy. I know some people are going to say we're never going to see 200 and under again. I doubt that. I'm sure we will. If a bear market happens, we will see it come down to 200 very quickly as well. Because remember the previous bear market, this thing came down to a low of 105. So don't underestimate how low a stock can go during a bear market. But if you want to accumulate a stock like this, a bear market, if you're not going to get a bear market, definitely buy under 200 in my opinion. That is my personal price target. Now let's look at what is happening here with Tesla. Tesla slides after mixed Q2 results, says affordable EVs on track for 2025 debut, and the new Robotaxi reveal date would be on October 10th. So keep an eye on that date. Keep that in mind because around the beginning of October, we could see a run up in anticipation of that October 10th date, that reveal. Of course, if he decides to delay things till next year, well, we're going to start to see a pattern that I call the Elon Musk pattern, where he says, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and never follows through on anything and just keeps pushing things back. So but other than that, October 10th, that's an important date. Knowing this kind of information ahead of time gives you an advantage because you know, like, hey, there's going to be a Robotaxi reveal date. Let's jump in before that date because it's probably going to run up in anticipation of that. Those of us who keep track of the stock market and what happens on a daily basis, we are aware of a lot of things that your average person isn't. They kind of just go to their job. They look at the market, but they don't really do their research like we do. So they might not even be aware that this Robotaxi reveal is even happening until we come close to that time. And then they get excited and they jump in and pump up the stock. That's what I think happens. I could be wrong. Either way, I've seen it happen before. We know where the dates are for the reveal, for the earnings, and we can buy in anticipation of that. And then it runs up, we take profits. So, again, that's just my thought process. Could be wrong. Maybe you see things differently. But other than that, I think we have the humanoid robots coming as well. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see if we get an update on that. Tesla reported revenue of 25.05 billion, more than 24.63 billion expected. Adjusted profits were shy of estimates, coming in at 0.52 against 0.60 expected. The company did say in its report it remains on track for the production of new vehicles, likely including a cheaper EV in the first half of next year. Addressing the delay in Robotaxi Day and the new timing will be important to hear on the conference call, as we believe the linchpin to Tesla reaching 1 trillion valuation and ultimately higher over the next year is contingent on the AI FSD story materializing into a monetization path over the coming years. Yeah, if that works out for them, if the Robotaxi side of things works out for them, this thing is gonna, I think it'll go to thousands. With that kind of market cap, absolutely. I mean, we've seen Nvidia absolutely skyrocket because of the AI trend here. But if Tesla has success with not just the robotaxi, but also the humanoid robots, I mean, this thing is going to be worth so much more. You're going to look at $200 and think that was cheap compared to now. But again, he sometimes says a lot of things, and sometimes either he doesn't follow through, or it takes a while for him to actually follow through. So keep that in mind. Either way, if you're invested in this, you believe in AI, you believe in the future of vehicles, and you're also believing in the Musk. So that's really what you're betting on. And so far, he has a pretty good history, despite him pushing things back every now and then. Tesla said Cybertruck production more than tripled compared to Q1, and the vehicle is on track to achieve profitability by the end of the year. Again, production tripled, but that's not sales. Just to be clear, I can produce 20 hot dogs, but if they're not selling, it don't mean anything. Just a comparison. Tesla said its semi-factory is also on track to begin production by the end of 2025. So there's a lot of moving pieces. Tesla tops revenue expectations as energy business nearly doubles. They delivered more vehicles globally in the second quarter, topping 439,302, according to Bloomberg consensus estimate, but nearly 5% down from a year ago. We believe that Tesla demand story has made a shift for the positive after a rough last 6 to 9 months. Here's the thing, guys: adoption takes time, and their vehicles aren't cheap either. Because I was talking to someone on the older side of things, Gen X, and he was telling me like he would buy a Tesla if they were like around a little under 30K. He can't justify buying one of these Teslas if they're over 50K. So it has to be cheaper. They have to come down cheaper. Ideally, like if you want to buy a used one, it has to be like 10 to 12, maybe 15K at most. I know some of you are thinking, yeah, good luck with that, but yeah, they need to be more affordable for the common man. Number two, when that happens, you will see people start to adopt. Just adoption takes time, and it takes time for things to get cheap enough that a lot of people can buy the thing, right? I mean, back then when Ford came out with the first vehicle, there were still a bunch of people on horses. Only the rich were able to afford, the wealthy were able to afford the the Ford vehicle. Not everyone was still in their horses. I still remember that. It's funny. So, and if you think about it, if I'm riding a horse and it gets me to and from places, a carriage, then why would I get one of them expensive Ford vehicles? So, but eventually it became cheap enough that everyone drives a car, right? Again, I could be wrong on my history. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's been like 20 years since I learned anything about the history of the Ford vehicles. Anyways, I think that's it. I'm not seeing anything here more. Did they mention anything about the humanoid robots? That's That's kind of what I'm looking for. Tesla stock, humanoid robots. Because I know they have a bunch of AI factories that they're building. Tesla will have genuinely useful humanoid robots in low production for Tesla internal use next year, and hopefully high production for other companies in 2026. The Tesla humanoid robot was expected to be in the factory by the end of 2024. Well, we'll see what happens. So it's coming for other companies. He wants humanoid robots for other companies in 2026. Probably wants to monetize it that way, but also for the Tesla production, I imagine. And but you know what's funny? If I wonder, no, because humanoid robots would be too expensive at this point in time. And this is I was just saying this at this point in time. Humanoid robots would be too expensive for the common person to be able to afford one. So it makes sense that he's going to sell it to other companies who do have that kind of money to be able to afford these robots. Again, if he ends up following through on that, and he is building a bunch of AI factories, among other things. So there's a lot to look forward to when you really dig in. But I believe if you're patient, disciplined, you look to buy when it's cheap. You look to buy the dip after some earnings dump. I don't know why I keep dumping on earnings. I'm like, okay, if you're just going to give it to me cheap, sure. But the next time you get a bear market, I will say this before I leave. Next time you get a bear market, buy the dip. It's been very profitable to buy the dip during a bear market. And let me just show you that so you don't think I'm just saying things. Here's the bear market here. It came down as low as 143. Here's another bear market. Again, I'm talking about the Tesla bear market. Here's the Tesla bear market here, down to 105. And I mean, here it went on a huge, and I mean huge tear. Let's see, where's another one? $24 down to 11. I mean, it really comes down nice and cheap. $24 to $11 just at a zero. It came down from 240 to 110, and here it came down from 392 to 101. So if you ever get a bear market, that's a good opportunity to add big. That's when you want to lump sum a big position, especially if it comes down under 100. I don't think we'll see under 100, but if it comes down that low, that's absolutely the time to get excited. And I know people just want to see Tesla stock. Please just go up. Please don't stop going up. Just go up only. But the reality is, we're going to get these cycles onto forever. And as of today, we are getting buyers stepping in. We'll see what happens Friday, because Friday we have some data from, I think we have PCE data, which is a market catalyst. It can move the stocks up or down. So we'll see what happens Friday. I know some people are getting excited about today's green, but I would say let's wait until Friday and see if this is actually going to be a bounce or if this is just some buyers stepping in, getting excited a little too early, and then we continue the sell off.